Greetings, everyone, and welcome to my Alliance update. I am so excited. I have a lot of information to share with you guys today, not only regarding Liberation Day and what entails the Alliance operation behind it and what this means for us, but also Project Genesis, which was conceived in the island by no other than the Big Gates in terms of artificially creating humans. Okay, so we're going to go deep today, guys. Now, bear in mind that when it comes to some of these operations, you guys know who I mean when I talk about the big gates, right? I have to speak like that so that way I am able to stay on. In either case, I want to welcome everyone. Today's the 11th of August, 2025, and we are steadily on a positive timeline trajectory. My name is Ishmael Perez, for those that don't know me, and I am the author of two amazing books, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and of course, Our Cosmic Origin, both which are available on Amazon. In addition to that, I also want to welcome all the new subscribers. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and of course, the Galactic Jedis who are always here. Without you guys, I couldn't do this. So my heart goes out to each and every single one of you guys for even listening to me. Before I get to the presentation, of course, I do want to let you guys know that there is this amazing holistic product that completely detoxes your body from nanoparticulates, metals, all the stuff that they put in our foods and everything. That, you know, what they, yeah, all of that. Radiation, parasites, allowing the natural process of the body, or the healing process of the body to take place. And this is what it looks like. So I believe in this product. I've been taking it for over 2 years now, and apparently many of you have already started taking it, and I am loving the testimonials through the emails. So thank you so much for, you know, cleaning out your body and keeping your temple cleansed, okay? Anything other than that I want to mention before I get right into it? I think that's about it for now. So welcome, everybody. All right, let's get right into it because, you know, it seems like what's happening right now in DC is affecting the entire planet in a positive way. But of course, this does begin with the states. Apparently this morning, a move that has shaken the core of DC establishment, sent shockwaves through every corner of the deep state because President Donald J. Trump officially activated what is known as the National Guard and seized full control of the DC police. And this is not politics as usual, guys. This is a direct move to take back the Capitol, not just from the street crime, but from the unelected elites, foreign-funded infiltrators, and of course the parasitic networks that have used Washington, D.C. as their playground for decades. So they call it Liberation Day, and it has arrived, right? In an emergency press conference, and you guys could all watch that, it happened this morning, flanked by Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and, of course, Attorney General Pam Bondi, President Trump stood firm, resolute, and unshaken. He said, quote, "We're going to take our capital back," he declared, invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act, giving him full authority to federalize the Metropolitan Police Department for up to about 30 days without congressional approval. And just like that, boom, the puppet strings controlling the DC force snapped. Trump didn't just stop there, guys, all right? In a calculated decision made after days of strategic deliberations and military briefings, he authorized the deployment of 800 National Guard troops in DC streets. Not the original, of course, anticipated 1,000, but still a powerful force considering the compact size of the city. So the boots on the ground are not just there to stop street crime. And for those that have read my book, The Secret Government, the entire crime networks is also connected to the secret societies. And of course, that's what they want us to believe right now, that, you know, it's just about the crime, but it goes much deeper than that. All right, let's go beyond the news. The real mission, okay, according to insiders, is deep and it's dangerous, okay, for the deep state, of course, and far more vital to the Republic's revival. So high-level leaks revealed that federal forces, including elite three-letter agency starting with an F, ending with an I, tactical units have already began coordinating raids on known underground tunnel systems beneath the city. These tunnels have long been rumored to serve as trafficking corridors, black ops command centers, and elite meeting grounds shielded from the public view. Now, with DC under the direct control, those rumors are finally being met with force. Doors are being kicked in, secret chambers are being discovered, documents, little ones, hard drives, all reportedly seized in the first wave of raids. So, President Trump knew exactly what he was doing when he invoked the Home Rule Act 740. It wasn't about bypassing bureaucracy. It was about bypassing infiltration. Congress is in recess until September the 3rd, meaning that there is no opposition, no stonewalling, and no gridlock, okay? Trump has a clean operational window to clean house in the heart of the swamp. Insiders confirmed that the president has already placed New York and Los Angeles on standby for similar takeovers. And given that about 4,000 troops were previously deployed to LA during recent immigration chaos, it's clear that he has no hesitation about going scorched earth if necessary. And these aren't just test runs, guys. These are actually targeted operations against criminal networks hiding behind political power, as revealed in my book, The Secret Government. Okay, hiding behind also corporate privileges and a media blackout thicker than concrete. So while speaking on Wednesday, Trump did made it plain. He said, quote, "We're going to secure DC very, very fast," end quote. And continuing the quote, "and just like we did the border, that wasn't a metaphor," okay, end quote. It was a mission outline. And now with the border stabilized under military control and crime crashing in red states, Trump is actually bringing this hammer down on the, you could say, festering capital where the elite thought that they could hide out, okay? So there's more. So according to sources close to DC police leadership, there was no warning at all. There was no warning, okay? And the takeover happened very, very fast. Federal officials arrived with sealed orders. Local brass were relieved. Military advisors took over operations. National Guard troops were already positioned across strategic zones, ready to move before Trump even stepped to the podium. And this wasn't an idea. It was an ambush, guys, all right? An ambush. Reuters reported that Trump's decision wasn't final, that troops were just on standby. Well, that's what they want the public to think, of course, when in reality, the operation was already in motion, timed to Trump's announcement, and synchronized with intelligence drops pointing to major grand jury movements targeting Obama-era officials. I'm still predicting that Obama, it's all over Fox, is going to be the first major, prison taken out. Well, the third, of course, the first and the second were taken out. So let's begin to read between the lines when we watch the news, guys, okay? Because it turns out that Trump's federal takeover of DC didn't just happen in a vacuum. It comes as sealed indictments are rumored to be also opening, okay? It comes as Trump prepares for a private meeting with also Vladimir Putin in Alaska this Friday. And I do believe that this meeting is about ending the war with Ukraine. Finally, okay? I think that this time they will reach some sort of an agreement. And if Trump is successful, as I've been predicting for about a year now, I believe he's going to get a Nobel Peace Prize, okay? Because he already put an end to all the other wars that were going on besides the Russian-Ukraine war. So, this is a geopolitical. What's happening right now in terms of him meeting with Putin in Alaska this Friday is a geopolitical chess move because, again, these guys are working together for the alliance. So this idea that in the last 2 weeks that we're talking about, bombing each other and all that stuff. Guys, that's just part of the show. It wasn't even true. Okay. This is all leading to a resolution to bring peace to Europe, right? And end, of course, the regime of NATO. So this is a huge move that is supposed to rattle, of course, the globalist stronghold when you really think about it. And it comes as sources have confirmed that grand juries are actually convening to examine the largest criminal, you could say, network in modern history, right? They're about to take all of that out. And yeah, this is what's happening. Okay. So many reports have confirmed that Trump was seen in the White House residence room, not the Oval Office, right? Deep in private discussion with unnamed military, I believe they were the generals, right? And intelligence officials. This wasn't a staff briefing. This was war planning, okay? Trump reportedly did refer to today as the biggest announcement of his second term. And again, if you guys haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. It happened this morning. So the man who declared that a space force reshaped global trade and rebuilt the military is now calling this the biggest moment of his presidency. And of course, that is terrifying every rat in Washington and the system. Okay. Furthermore, guys, this is a confidential intelligence report coming from the alliance regarding this operation that is being executed in DC and major cities across the US. They call it Operation Iron Resolve. Okay. Military-led purge of criminal networks in Washington, D.C., across the United States. Okay. Declaring, of course, what they called Liberation Day. Liberation Day. All right, so let's get right into this classification report. So Operation Iron Resolved is an ongoing multi-agency military directed campaign authorized by Commander-in-Chief Donald J. Trump under a continuity of government framework allegedly established during his first term. Okay, so from 2016, you could say he's been kind of CIC. The operation's objective is the systematic dismantling, of course, of entrenched criminal networks within Washington, D.C., and other high-threat domestic sectors. And unlike conventional law enforcement, the mission leverages U.S. military intelligence, special operation forces, and cyber warfare units to bypass compromised federal agencies, eliminating all the hostile actors, and of course, collapsing the infrastructure, sustaining political corruption, organized crime, and foreign infiltration. All right, so mission objectives. This is the mission objectives. Ready? Neutralize high-value targets, abbreviated HVT, arrest and remove individuals engaged in treason, sedition, transferring of humans, right? Trafficking, financial crimes, and of course, espionage. Also, dismantle criminal infrastructure, shut down logistical, financial, and technological networks, enabling illicit operations, secure strategic locations, reclaim underground transit systems, black site facilities, black site meaning covert facilities, right? And compromised government installations. Also, to restore constitutional control. Okay, that's part of this project. Transferring judicial processing of national security crimes from compromised civilian courts to military tribunals. Okay. Also, the operational scope behind this. The primary zone, of course, is Washington, D.C., which is the federal complex, right? The Capitol tunnels, intelligence agency hubs, right? And then the secondary zones is New York City, of course, offshore financial laundering hubs, Wall Street linked shell corporations, and then in Los Angeles, the entertainment industry networks that are tied to blackmail operations and foreign intelligence. Okay. Also, This is extending to Chicago and Houston, regarding the distribution corridors for narcotics and, again, human transferring, ficking, if you guys know what I mean. Border states, Texas, Arizona, California, cross border tunnel destruction, and cartel leadership targeting. And so the military assets that are going to be deployed are SOCOM, which stands for Special Operations Command, Covert Extraction, and Strike Teams, conducting night operations. Also, the the INSCOM, which is the Army Intelligence and Security Command, which is going to signals intelligence, financial tracing, and human intelligence infiltration. Not to mention U.S. Space Force assets, right? Satellite-based communications intercepts and movement tracking of HVTs. In addition to all of this, we're going to also see cyber commands taking place, real-time penetration of encrypted communications, cryptocurrency wallets, and offshore banking systems. And current operational phase, beginning with phase one, includes the identification, mapping of target networks through SIGINT, HUMINT, and forensic accounting. Phase two will include the isolation, cutting off communications, supply routes, and escape corridors. Phase three will include the removal, coordinated extractions, and arrest, and often during, of course, pre-dawn hours to minimize public disruption. Phase four includes processing, suspects transferred to undisclosed detention facilities for tribunal proceedings. And then phase five includes infrastructure collapse. And what that means is the seizure of financial assets, the destruction of illicit transit systems, and disabling, of course, of safe houses. So, Washington, D.C., this is the activity summary, okay? Unmarked troop and vehicle movements near the Capitol complex during night hours. Temporary street closures under maintenance cover stories. Sealing of legacy tunnel systems linking federal buildings previously used for covert movement of personnel and contraband. Securing transport convoys, moving detainees to military holding facilities outside of DC. And then, of course, comes the judicial handling. Now, the judicial handling includes the civilian courts that were bypassed for national security crimes under military jurisdiction. And then charges are going to be filed, of course, under judicial handling, which includes treason, right? Sedition, crimes against humanity, corruption, and of course, furring of humans, faking, if you guys know what I mean. All right. Also, under judicial handling, will also include tribunal sites, undisclosed military bases, and maritime detention vessels. And then finally, but not least, it's also going to include processing speed, which stands for accelerated timelines to prevent influence from compromised legal networks. Now, there is an information warfare component to all of this, right? And this means that controlled leaks to independent journalists and encrypted channels to prime public awareness, right? It also includes limited public arrest to create pressure on remaining network operatives, social media counter ops to disrupt disinformation campaigns, and of course, foreign psyops. And the end game of this operation is the end game operation is this Operation Iron Resolve. For those that are just logging in, make sure you watch this from the beginning. Significantly degrade domestic criminal political networks, sever foreign intelligence footholds within U.S. governance, reinforce military capacity to act independently against internal threats, against internal threats. Also, transition restored civilian control under a cleansed constitutional framework. Okay. And, the success of this operation hinges on sustained secrecy, compartmentalized communications, and continued public distractions through non related political events. So while visible results may remain minimal in the short term, indicators suggest significant progress in neutralizing embedded threats across multiple operational theaters. So, all of this, my friends, okay, is leading to the final tribunals that have been going on since 2017, 18. And of course, the shadow proceedings that are going to be taking place to minimize riots and chaos, of course. So sources have confirmed that many arrests are not passing through the civilian court system, okay? Long compromised by political interference because of that, right? Instead, suspects are being processed under military jurisdiction, facing charges of treason, sedition, and crimes against humanity. These tribunals, operating from undisclosed locations, are reportedly moving faster than public courts, ensuring that once removed, these actors cannot simply walk free on legal technicalities. So, the silent information war, okay, parallel to the physical operation, is an information campaign designed to awaken the public. In faces, of course, controlled leaks, symbolic public arrest, and strategic social media drops by trusted insiders are all part of the plan. Now, this does ensure that when the broader purge becomes visible, right? This is what we've all been waiting for. The population will already have been primed to understand the necessity of military intervention, right? So that is part of the end game. Okay. So the whole goal here is not merely to remove corrupt individuals, my friends, but to collapse the entire shadow infrastructure. Okay. The interlocking networks of compromised politicians, corporate overlords, black budget contractors, and hostile foreign agents. So, when complete, this operation will leave behind a drastically reduced landscape for corruption to ever reboot itself again. It's going to be impossible, okay? Trump's use of the military in this operation represents the fusion of strategic patience and decisive force. So, by avoiding flashily large scale deployments, he has actually kept public attention on political narratives while the real war is fought in the shadows. So, when completed, right, Operation Iron Resolve will be remembered not just as a political comeback, but as the quiet surgical removal of the most dangerous domestic threats to the United States in modern history. It is a war fought in the silence, right, with victories hidden in sealed indictments and shuttered safe houses. A war where the American people may not realize the magnitude of the danger until it has already been neutralized. So that, my friends, is what's happening right now. Okay, that goes deeper than just cleaning out the criminal networks. So, in addition to all of this, it has also come to light regarding the Genesis program, right? Regarding what's happening with Jeff, right? Let's just call him Jeff from hell, right? The island, all right? You guys know what I'm talking about. In the last few days, it was released that the reason that they haven't released the LIST is because it goes much deeper than just what happened, of course, with underage people, okay? We could say that It involved the big gates. It involved secret clandestine projects, right, under codename Project or Program Genesis, which was actually conceived in the mind of the big gates, who was always posing as a philanthropist and, of course, as a what? Visionary technologist. Well, apparently, this Genesis program was hidden not in a corporate R&D facility, my friends, right? But in the most unexpected and sinister of locations, which is, Jeff's place,
Little
right?
St. James.
Little St. James, is that the way to?
That's the island name.
Okay, Little St. James, an isolated Caribbean compound that had already become infamous for its, of course, secrecy, right? So to the unawakened eye, and of course the modernist and the tropical beauty concealed of the island was just, you could say,
An experiment.
yeah, it was an experiment. Of course, they called it. It goes beyond just. They were actually, okay. I'm just gonna say it, guys. They were actually growing lab humans, all right, in the laboratory using artificial wombs. Okay, they were growing their own, little ones. Okay, that's the best way to describe it. So, in the deep underground, of course, of the island, and according to insiders, there was a series of pressured, climate-controlled biodomes that allowed housing for the incubators for a new kind of human creation, which is called an artificial designer, little one. Okay, so behind closed doors, guys, Operation Genesis program was to engineer designer human beings grown entirely in artificial wombs. Okay. The goal, according to insiders, wasn't simply to advance science, my friends, but to forge a selective next generation, one that could actually be biologically predisposed to obedience, high intelligence, and complete dependency on its creators. So, in other words, they were breeding slaves. So, the big gates, and you could say, believed that traditional birth was inefficient and random. So, by controlling every genetic variable from eye color to mental aptitude, the elite could actually manufacture a new class of people tailored for specific societal roles. The official line in the shadows, right, was a better humanity through precision breeding, the unofficial reality. Um, in order to control them from the cradle to the grave. So, the island laboratory, okay, sources have claimed that the underground facility on that island was you could say, fitted with cutting edge bioengineering equipment, including, are you guys ready for this? Artificial, for all, for entertainment purposes. Let me just say that, for entertainment purposes.
I don't know if you want to read this. Maybe just somewhere you found the post. This is very sensitive.
Very sensitive information, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just call it artificial womb pots. Okay, which is like translucent tanks that will filled with nutrient-rich ambiotic simulant, amniotic. Thank you, simulant. Each holding a developing embryo. Also, they included genomic editing suites using CRISPR-based gene splicing tools capable of rewriting human DNA before cell division even began. It also included neural mapping stations where researchers could allegedly influence brain development using targeted electromagnetic fields. So the staff, not traditional scientists, of course, right, but a mixture of recruited specialists from biotech startups, rogue medical researchers, and black budget operatives with experience in covert genetic projects were all included in this Project Genesis. Some, it was said, were actually lured in with the promise of unlimited funding and the freedom to push the boundaries without ethical oversight. So, Jeff and this, you could say, acted, right? Jeff acted as the project's gatekeeper and supplier. And of course, we all know that Jeff was also connected to Israel, right? Sourcing genetic material from a shadowy network. And of course, the Big Gates was said to be the architect and founder of these projects, funder. He financed it, right? Providing both the money and the most advanced tech available through shell companies and hidden subsidiaries. So the artificial people, right? I don't know what's the best way to, yeah, let's just call them, these little ones grown in these underground chambers artificially were apparently never intended for public release. Okay. Instead, they would be raised within controlled environments, trained for high value intelligence work, or strategically placed within industries of influence decades later. Okay. These lab grown little ones of, of this program would appear normal, right? No one would detect the difference, but their loyalty would always be genetically ingrained. And a lot of that has to do with CRISPR technology, okay? Gene editing. So in 2022, there was a whistleblower, an anonymous source, claiming to have actually worked on the island biotech staff that leaked the fragmented files to a small independent investigative outlet. The documents contained partial schematics of artificial womb systems, genetic sequences labeled Project Eve, and encrypted correspondence between anonymous parties discussing deployment timelines. And of course, one chilling note read, are you guys ready? Quote, according to this whistleblower, Generation Alpha is almost viable. Neural obedience index is exceeding projections. Target released 2030. Okay, so this was part of Project 2030. So whether authentic or fabricated, these documents reignited, of course, certain data to reemerge that linked global depopulation agendas. Okay, that was part of Agenda 2030, which is no longer going to be happening, of course. And also, it was part of forcing technological dependence. Okay, and the silent manufacturing of a controlled human future. Okay, this kind of reminds me of the story of Krypton. Very similar, right? And according to the original story of Krypton, for those that have read DC Comics, what made Kal, aka Superman, different than the rest of the Kryptonians was that he was the only one that was not a designer baby. Okay, while the Kryptonians were already implementing this technology on Krypton for hundreds of years, Kal's father and mother decided to have a baby through natural means, of course, without the designer technology. And so that allowed Kal to make his own decisions. Okay, for those that have ever read the true story behind Krypton, okay, the Kryptonians were actually doing the same thing, right? They were grooming through designer technology. They were making people in order for them to obey and be part, or you could say, in order for them to play a specific role in that society, scientists, military personnel, and so on and so forth, right? Without rebelling, of course. So this reminds me of that. Okay, guys, this reminds me of that. So the program's disappearance apparently happened after the Y Hats were able to seize the island. Thank God. And so by the time the law enforcement raided Jeffrey's properties, the underground labs had apparently been emptied. Okay, the pods were dismantled, the data was scrubbed, and the embryos, the artificial embryos, were relocated. And all that remained, were actually traces of chemical compounds in the soil and unexplained power draws from the island's subterranean grid. So you could say that the Big Gates public image remained untarnished, right? Because apparently they were able to destroy the evidence before the alliance got to it. and in mainstream circles, but in the undercurrents of alternative media, of course, the story did persist. Okay, the dark tale of Project Genesis was born in the shadows, shaping the future without the world's consent. Okay, this was part of Agenda 2030, designing humans from an artificial womb so that they could use CRISPR gene editing in order to make conformist and submissible, you could say, what's the word I'm looking for? In order to make uh, people that take orders, right? That don't question the system. And so this was apparently done behind the public's view, right? The first generation of lab-born humans would have been taking place if it wasn't for what happened with the Y-Hats taking over, and you could say they actually existed throughout this whole time. And the whole purpose of this Project Genesis was to have enough artificial humans already made. So by the time 2030 hit with, of course, the technocratic takeover, they would eliminate the free will humans and then, of course, control their non free will humans, if you guys know what I mean. So, with that in mind, this actually goes much deeper than that. I was actually informed by Commander Valianthorpe that this situation has happened all throughout history. Okay, if you go back to the times of the Roman Empire, Carthage, okay, in a place called Carthage, they were doing the same thing 2,000 years ago. So the elites of Rome, right, those that ran the Roman Empire, were doing the same thing, by the way, right? If you guys think that history doesn't repeat itself, or if you guys think that the elites did not implement advanced technologies and these projects 2,000 years ago, well, guess again, okay? I was told that this has actually been going on, believe it or not, guys, since the fall of Atlantis, since the dark forces took over Atlantis. That's when all these covert, sinister operations began, taking place. So, also bear in mind that throughout all of history, these elite families have actually been, you know, doing things with the little ones, right? From behind the scenes. This has been part of a secret society, you could say, ritual that could actually be traceable all the way back to Babylon, okay? And all throughout history, the elites have actually been using, the little ones as a way to appease their alien overlords. Of course, we had Moloch, right? We also had Belial Baal, the Babylonian god, right, who is known as Marduk, who has actually been running the the elite networks, right, the Babylonian Brotherhood for quite some time. So this could be traceable, right? This island situation has been a recurrent theme, you could say, that could be traceable back to medieval Europe, of course, under the control of the papacy. It was conducted by the Vatican. It could be traceable back to Carthage, Rome, where they were actually using, doing things with the little ones, very similar to what happened with the island. And then, of course, its origins, believe it or not, guys, began in Babylon, right, with Nimrod. And for those that have read my book, The Secret Government, you probably have a more of a thorough understanding of why they were doing this, right? They were doing this to appease their what? Their alien overlords, okay? Their alien overlords. So it is believed that when the Alliance does release everything associated with the island, it's going to go beyond just, having, things going on with underage, you know, people, right? It's going to go much deeper than that. It's going to go into disclosing Project Genesis. And then, of course, what that's going to do is that's going to bring down the entire, Gates, Foundation and everyone that was associated with that. Okay, so that is in the plan. That is um, coming very very soon. So it's going to be a shock for a lot of people, right? It's going to be very very shocking, and so we just have to understand that even Project Genesis was something that we truthers had no concept of until, of course, the last week. In the last week, several dossiers were actually recovered by the Alliance. And now that Mr. T is in the White House, they are definitely going to bring justice to what's been happening for quite some time in secret. So yeah, I hope you guys have 2 weeks of food supply because it seems like ever since Mr. T deployed the National Guard in Washington, and of course, as you guys know, as revealed in this presentation, it's nationwide. It's a nationwide operation. Um, that could be the EBS. Okay, that could be the EBS. This could be what we've all been waiting for, guys. This is what we've all been waiting for. So I hope you guys have 2 weeks of food supply because it seems like justice is finally coming. Even though it's been dragged out, and even though we went into overtime, and we've been kind of waiting for years, but it looks like now things are pointing into that direction, and the time has finally arrived. Okay, so just make sure you guys have enough water for 2 weeks in case you know what I mean, right? Food and everything, all of that. All right. Um, Anything else that I want to share with you guys? Let's see. Oh yes. So guys, as you guys know, um, it's very hard for me to talk here. That's why last week I was put on timeout. So in the event that anything happens, of course, and all of a sudden there is no longer a platform for me like this, right? I want you guys to know that I do have a website, our cosmicorigin.com. And in the event that I can no longer broadcast, I'm going to continue giving updates through my website. Now, I also have a forum in my website where you could actually drop in and talk amongst each other. Okay. So, in the event that this happens, go to my website, our cosmicorigin.com, and I will continue, giving information 3 times a week via my website. Okay. So that's only if something happens. If not, then cool. All right. We're all good. And also, I wanted to remind you guys that this product, for those that are just coming in late, is phenomenal. Okay. First of all, it's all natural. Okay. It's got no side effects. I do read the comments and I do read the emails. People have been asking me, this has any side effects? No, it doesn't, guys. It's made out of natural ingredients, which of course is good for the body. And the most important thing is that it eliminates that stuff, including the spike proteins that are jumping into our bodies from those that have taken that. Okay. So just bear in mind that this is a time to get rid of all of that, right? This is a time to clean out the parasites and, of course, to eliminate the radiation because we are being bombarded, guys, by EMF waves, right? Extremely ELF waves, extremely low frequency waves, RF frequency waves coming from this. And so it's like our bodies are being microwaved. So this product takes away the radiation from your body so that you can be healthy, so that your mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of your cell, could also be, at its optimal, you could say, precision. I guess now I could give a shout outs. Let's see. I see Wolf Mother in the house, Roy's Toys and Comics in the house, MJF, William Ryan. Let's see who else is in the house. Starlight, Aaron H, Leah, a awakened star seed, Debbie Gender, Starcadian. Yes, Starcadian is the house. Thank you so much, brother. I did get your email yesterday. I'll be giving you a call tomorrow. I've been super busy today trying to, you know, set things up here in the house. So I will give you a call tomorrow. Starcadian, I also wanted to thank you for keeping the chat clean, keeping it high vibe. And yeah, thank you so much, brother. And all 2000 and I don't know, I can't really see because my screen is failing on me now. I'm gonna have to go fix my laptop. 2000, uh, I'm just gonna say over 2000 people. 2,600 people. Thank you that are in the house. Thank you guys so much for being here. Now, again, um, if for whatever reason you guys are not getting the notifications, make sure you guys turn on the notification so you know when I'm coming, live. Okay. And then, of course, if you have not yet subscribed, please do. And it's also important to share this video with as many people as possible because it does help this channel grow. I do want to hit 1,000 subscribers, guys, by the end of this year, and you guys could all help out by sharing this video with as many people as possible. Okay. And anything else? Oh, yes. I have 2,600 people in the house. Now, if I could at least get 1,000 likes right now, or even 1,500, which is a little over half of that, that would be greatly appreciated, guys. That would be greatly appreciated. All right. So if you guys could all hit the like button right now, thank you for doing so. Thank you for doing so. Now, let's see. Breaking. I am subscribed to the Epoch Times, and I just right now got a breaking. Trump grants 90-day extension on China tariff deadline. Okay, that just came in. I just thought I'd share it with you guys. I will be opening it up for Q&A. Just give me a second. I wanted to check something out. Okay, cool. I guess we're good. All right, guys, let's open it up for Q&A. Make sure that you guys type your questions in capital letters. Yes, please type your questions in capital letters. Many ancient Indian temples have carvings depicting human artificial inception. Yes, that is correct, Carol. And embryo pods dating back to 1,200 years. Absolutely. Again, guys, the the scope of disclosure goes back to the Roman Empire. That's how long these elites have been hiding this from the general public. Okay. Like I said earlier in the presentation, it actually goes back to the fall of Atlantis, right? When the fallen Anunnaki or the draconian Anunnaki took over the affairs of the world, they began implementing all these hideous operations. Thank you so much for sharing that, sister. So if the is a highest timeline, there must be the lowest timeline, but isn't there an infinite number of timelines? Yes, that's a very good question. I'm actually going to go ahead and pin this question because this is a very good question. This is a question from Cosmic Dragon. Welcome, Cosmic Dragon. She says, Ishmael, if there is a good, positive, or if there is a good, no, that's not that's not it. I pinned the wrong question. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Awesome. This is a question from Andrea Grossran Green or Gooseran. Is it Gossran or Gooseran? I'm not sure. I'm just going to call you Mrs. Green. If this is a highest timeline, oops, I just lost it. And there must be a lowest timeline, but isn't there an infinite number of timelines? That's a very good question, Andrea. Okay, well, first of all, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Right now, there is an infinite number of timelines within a spectrum of positive outcomes and negative outcomes and everything in between. However, due to this convergence that is about to take place, that happens every 26,000 years, all of these timelines are going to collapse into only three. Okay, there's going to be a positive organic ascending timeline where the good people of the earth go. And then there's going to be a negative technocratic dystopian timeline, which is going to be ruled by the AI god for about 1,000 years. And there's also going to be, and this was actually brought to my attention about 9 months ago because was the first one to, reveal that we are going to have what is known as a neutral timeline, where you're going to have both cyborgs, you're going to have both metahumans, and of course Terran humans without any powers. So that's going to be where the age of superheroes is going to come into play. Okay, the neutral timeline. You're going to have star seeds that have been activated, right, into superhumans, metahumans, who are going to be popping into the neutral timeline at will to, protect the ascending Earth Terrans from the cyborgs and from the robots. Okay. All right. Let's see. I do have another. Oh, let me unpin this one. I have so many questions. When could we see religious cults behind being revealed? Okay, when can we see religious cults revealed? That is so true. Let's just be real. All of the organized religions are the biggest cults, right? Let's just be real, guys. Every organized religion is a cult. So when are they going to be exposed? I would say that due to the fact that we are entering the age of light, the age of transparency, everything that has ever been installed by this, reptilian human lineage will be undone in the new earth, right? Because of the fact that in the new earth, we're all going to have a direct connection to God as it was in the days of Atlantis. Okay. So it's coming. It's coming. Is Atlas related to RH blood type? Absolutely, it is. Because the RH negative blood type are the descendants of the positive Anunnaki, right? The positive, you could say, extraterrestrials that came in ancient times and deposited their own lineages here on the earth. This is a good question from Nathan Taylor. I don't have any super chats yet, do I? I can't see him on my screen.
Is Nathan Taylor highlighted?
I just highlighted him, yeah, because he's got a good question. But sometimes I can't see the super chats.
I'm because I'm trying
Okay.
to answer people's questions.
I see.
That you're missing.
Oh, so are we gonna get the mental abilities, such as the ability to influence other people, beings, like the insectoids and ant people? Our abilities are going to go beyond the insectoids and ant people. They're going to go beyond all the ETs. That's why the ETs covered our DNA. Okay, we, my friends, are the grand experiment, genetic experiment coming into fruition. Okay, so our abilities are going to be greater than the telepathy, telekinesis, right? Beyond that, right? So yes, to answer your question is yes, our abilities are going to be coming back online. And in the fifth dimensional earth reality, we're not going to be mortal. We're going to be immortal, okay? Because we're going to be using 50% light body activation, which is awesome. Thank you guys for all the love. I appreciate the hearts. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you. What dimension is this new Earth? 4, 5, 6 plus? This is a question from David Duff. Well, Right now, we are in the third dimensional Earth, but very, very soon we're going to be catapulted into the fourth D Earth or 50 or even 60 Earth, depending on where your frequency is. So everybody's going to be ascending on different levels of reality. However, due to the fact that the entire 12 dimensional Stargate is going to be opening up, some of us are going to have access to the seventh D Earth or the eighth D Earth, the ninth D, 10, or even 11 and 12. Okay. Depending on where you came from, right? Depending on where you kind of descended from. That will also determine which Earth you're going to be going up to. Yes, sixth dimension is angel high realm. Dimensional legend is stating that, and that is absolutely correct. Once you hit, okay, let's just say it this way: fourth, fifth, and okay, fifth and sixth dimension technically is when as we become metahumans, we become like angels. Okay, if you go to the seventh, eighth, or ninth dimension Earth, which is known as the Gaia Earth, then you're going to become like an archangel. And then if you go to the 10th, 11th, or 12th dimensional Earth, which is the original eternal Earth, right, known as Aramatena, then you're going to become a creator, god, or goddess. So there you guys have it. Okay. Nathan Taylor, thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate that. Your question is, what do we do after we win the war against the Animas? Do we retire, or will there be more wars after the 1,000 years? That is a very good question. In fact, um, one of the things that I'm writing about in my unpublished book that is not going to be published for another 6 months or so is the role of what we do after the millennium. Okay. To answer your question, after we defeat Omega and the Animus, for those that have been following me for a while, you know who the Animus is, right? The AI collective. They also call it the Mitra. We're going to begin a whole new chapter for the whole cosmos. Okay. There's going to be a new era being issued throughout the entire multiverse as a result of that. So, all of the planets, all of the galaxies that were swallowed up by this collective AI, all of the universes that were destroyed by this collective AI are all going to be restored. Furthermore, as we continue ascending into 5, 6, 7, and even beyond that, guys, yes, in a new cycle of time, right, as we repopulate new worlds, new galaxies, and new universes, well, guess who's going to be playing the role of guardianship? Us. So, will there be future skirmishes? In future cycles of time, when certain individuals decide to rebel against the one, well, guess who's going to have to put them in check? We are, right? As we become the new guardians of not only the earth, but the entire multiverse from this earth, we are going to be tasked to protect and preserve the organic life forms throughout all of the universes. So, therefore, if there is a new Lucifer, perhaps millions of years from now, who rebels against the one, right, or fallen celestials, then we're going to have to, you know, make sure that they don't execute their full plan. We're going to have to pretty much put a stop to them. So, yes, we are going to have future wars, but that's not going to take place for millions upon millions of years. So we will have millions and millions of years of peace throughout the multiverse before, again, the descent takes place, a new cycle of time begins, and there is a new fall against or a new rebellion against the light. That's not going to happen for another millions of years, guys. Okay. So we are going to have a cosmic jubilee for a few million years before we have to face another rebellion against God. Wow, that was a very good question. That was a very good question. Not a lot of people think beyond the millennium. All right, let's continue here. Where are the seraphim from? This is a question from Lee Starr. Well, the seraphim, well, there are different levels of seraphim. You have the supernaphim, you have the seconaphim, and then you have the tertiaphim. And then underneath those, you have 9 levels of angels, right? You have the archangels, you have the thrones, you have the virtues, the powers, and so on, the cherubim, and so on and so forth. So the seraphim include the first 3 order of angels that stem from the central universe, right? And those are the supernaphim, the seconaphim, and the triteraphim. Those are the seraphim, okay? But of course, the term seraphim could also be applied to any celestial or angel, whether it's an archangel, a throne, a virtue, a cherubim, and so on and so forth. Thank you so much for the super chats. They do help. Thank you. Thank you. This is a question from Computer Organization. How descent affecting ascension? How descent affecting ascension? And is the Galactic Federation, see that? Is there testing? Okay, I think I know what you're asking. Well, the reason we are going to be experiencing the ascension is because we were all involved in the what? Descension process, right? For those that have read my book, Our Cosmic Origin, that purple book, it is revealed in that book that we all started as what? Whole light beings of light, all right? Operating at the highest level of reality as beings, immortal beings of light. And through the process of descent, right, we dropped from our light body, our highest vehicle, into lower vehicles or different grades of our light body, becoming denser and denser as we continued dropping in frequency, all the way down to the 3D where we are supposedly mortal, right? That effect, the reverse of the effect, which we call the ascension, is now taking place. So in order for us to ascend, there had to be a descent, okay? That is called the fall, the descent of spirit into matter, okay? We all underwent that, including planet Earth, believe it or not. Planet Earth was once existing in the 12th dimension, right? That was known as the eternal Earth, right? Which was connected to the eternal life systems. And then the eternal Earth, due to the war with the AI, dropped into the what? The 8th dimensional Earth, which led to the Lyran Wars, right? And then that dropped into the Gaia Earth, which led to the Terranusian Wars, and then, or the Atlantean Wars, as we call them now. And then now we're in the lower aspect of the Earth, known as the 3rd dimensional Earth. Okay. But now, because of the planet reversing its sequence back to the original Earth, all the way to the 12D, and it's going to go in increments, we are all going in for a free ride. All right. We're all going to be going up, up, and up. And then the second part of your question is the Galactic Federation see that? Well, the Galactic Federation had only been around for a few million years. Before the Galactic Federation, we had what is called the Guardian Alliance, the Emerald Order. In fact, it was a response to the galactic expanding Draco Empire that the Emerald Order decided to establish the Galactic Federation. Again, guys, read my book, Our Cosmic Origin. A lot of your questions that you're asking me are answered in that book, okay? But I will be answering it right now. So the Galactic Federation of Worlds, which is an interstellar police force, was established as a response to the expanding Draco Orion Empire. But you have to understand that it was the Council of Guardians from Andromeda, from Sirius, from Arcturus, from Lyra, but from the Pleiades that came together to create this interstellar police force, which unfortunately now has been corrupted in the last few years by the Mitra AI Collective Animus, okay? Those that did not buy the bait, of course, reorganized as the Galactic Alliance. So the good, positive extraterrestrials are actually now the Galactic Alliance, okay? And then the third part of your question is there testing? I don't know what that means, brother. I don't know what that means. All right, let's continue here. Yes, make sure you guys put your question in all caps so that I could bypass the chat. Ishmael, will our blood type change in the fourth D or fifth D? As we continue using more crystalline DNA and less carbon based, yes, your blood will become more electrical. Electrical, okay? Nathan Taylor, thank you so much for the super chat. How do you get to the 15 dimension? I guess somebody's been paying attention to my presentations. Is it the same as 12D formula, aka the law of one? Yes, the law of one, the raw material, does talk a lot about this. So beyond the 12 dimension, right, there is the 13th dimension, 14 and 15, which equates to what the esoteric knowledge calls the realms of eternity. And it's also equivalent to what the Urantia papers called the central universe. So believe it or not a lot of extraterrestrials have the ability to access beyond the 12th dimension, but we do. Okay, so for the first time in cosmic history, my friends, we on Earth are going to be able to go beyond the 12th dimension into the 13, 14, and eventually 15. And that in turn, believe it or not, is going to create another level of reality beyond the 15 level of, or beyond the 15 dimension, which is going to be known as the 16th dimension, 16 and 17. And a lot of that has to do with what? The expansion of the cosmos, okay? One outer space level at a time. I do have another super chat from Greg. Thank you so much. Greg says, hi, Ishmael. Will the radiation from the solar flash hurt us during the ascension? Not at all. If your bodies are cleaned from a lot of the metals, the parasites, and the radiation, it's going to be a smooth transition. However, if your bodies have a lot of metals, you're still going to ascend, but it's not going to be it's going to be a little painful, you could say, because of the metals. So that's from what I've heard. Okay, that's from what I've heard, is that it's not supposed to hurt. We're just going to be transferring from our mortal avatar into our galactic avatar. But again, we have to understand that our bodies. Okay, so let me just explain something, guys. This solar flash is going to fuse our cells, our body at the cellular level, at a rate that has never happened before. Okay, our bodies are going to be full of light. So the metals are actually, you could say, they prevent the light from absorbing within your cells. Okay, and you could actually do your own research on this. That's why the elites have been, the skies putting it in our foods, because they knew that this day was coming. So it's going to be easier if your body has less metals. It's going to be easier to transition into your galactic avatar. Okay, hopefully that makes a lot of sense. So yes, your body has to be ready to be infused at the cellular level, right? You're going to light up like a Christmas tree, you could say, when this happens. And that in turn is going to activate the other DNA that we don't use. Thank you so much, Nathan, for your super chat. He says, will you let us know when God creates 16th and 17th dimension, etc.? Well, from what I understand, that is already in process. All right, it's already in process. And the only reason that's in process is because we were able to descend all the way to the 3D, right? Because believe it or not, guys, as we evolve through our experiences due to the holographic concept of reality, so does our universe, right? We're all connected to a greater body. So that's how it works. God, you guys are asking some amazing questions tonight. I love it. Will we be cured from health issues after the Great Flash? Yes, absolutely. And this could be confirmed and validated by all, ancient accounts, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran. There's going to be a natural healing, spontaneous effect taking place worldwide. So if you are on a wheelchair, if you have a certain illness, due to our mortality, that's not going to be an issue anymore. You're going to be spontaneously healed, and you're going to be able to do the impossible. Okay, especially if you go to the fifth earth. The fifth earth, that's where all the magic is. That's where all the magic is, my friends. Ishmael, will we destroy the Phantom Matrix? Oh, wow, that's another good question. Absolutely. According to cosmic prophecies, guys, when we defeat Omega at the end of the millennium, right, we defeat the Antichrist, and all of the worlds and universes are restored. We're also going to be freeing all the souls that were trapped in the inorganic time loops. Okay, so therefore, we also will be destroying the Phantom Matrix, which is an artificial multiverse that was created by the AI overlord, Omega. Okay. As a result of defeating him, he will no longer be plaguing our living, organized, or organic multiverse. And as a result of that, the entire Phantom Matrix is going to be unplugged because it's been a parasite, a cosmic parasite plaguing the living multiverse for billions of years. It's going to be unplugged from its battery, from its source of energy, and it's going to collapse. Okay, it's going to collapse as a result of that. You have to understand, artificial intelligence, pure logic, not organic, sentient, has to feed off of organic life forms in order for it to exist. It's its food supply. So once you cut it off from its food supply, it collapses. So yes, the Phantom Matrix will be collapsing as a result of that. Can I please get more water?
Of course.
Thank you. If there's any more.
Oh, there's more.
Okay. Ishmael, are most dragons positive? Some are and some aren't. Yeah. Some are and some aren't.
Yeah, the red ones, no, but the other colored ones, yeah.
Not okay, put it this way, not the Dracos, of course, or the Siakar, which are the royal Dracos. But there are benevolent guardians known as dragon collectives that actually exist in the 13th dimension. All right. So yeah, some dragons are positive.
Yeah, usually the white and yellow and gold ones are good, but the red ones
Thank
are
you so much.
very bad.
Thank you so much.
Black
All right,
dragons, no either. Black dragons, no.
I do want to thank Nathan Taylor for a super chat. Can you revoke or change a soul contract? And where do you go to see it? I believe you can. Yeah. All you have to do is command it, guys. We have power over the dark side, right? We have to command things. So the answer to that is yes. And I do have a super chat from Monica Lang. Thank you so much, Monica Lang. And your question is, do we have more than one avatar in this dimension? No, not in this dimension. However, you do have multiple avatars in other dimensions. So that is for sure. Actually, let me address that question again. Okay, so some of the old souls that come from the 10th, 11th, 12th, or even higher dimensional level of reality, our energy is so vast that it is impossible to contain it in one avatar. So there are multiple yous walking the earth at this time. Go figure, right? That's what I've heard. So that's how I'm going to answer the question. So only if you come from the dimensional level of 10, 11, 12, or beyond, then you have to have multiple avatars because it's impossible to contain the light quotient in just one physical body. Okay, that's a very good man. Tonight, you guys are asking deep, philosophical, intellectual, deep questions. I love it. I love it. I love it. You guys are so intelligent. Peter S. Conrad, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Hi, Ishmael. Have you heard of methylene blue? Yes, I have. Actually, we have some, right, darling? I saw it on the Rogan podcast show. Can you explain the benefits for our bodies, please?
I'm probably going to have to do this one.
Yeah, she is the expert at methylene blue. Go ahead, explain it.
Okay, generally methylene blue is used with water. You drink a couple drops and then you build it up. What it exactly does is there's tons and tons of benefits, but I would look it up. People have reported better quality sleep. They reported more energy. It also helps with mental clarity. And it also helps with removing toxins from your DNA and your bloodstream. I do it, and I can go get you the one that I use, which has monoatomic gold in it, if anyone wants to try. Just give me a moment.
Uh-oh, what did I do with the chat? Oh, there it is. All right, the next question from Computer Organization. Interesting. What happens if one's light is misplaced? And how do we escape the plots of the negligent evil draconians with traditional layman's terms? How can one contribute to stop actually, let me go ahead and pin this. This is a 4-part question.
This is a nano liquid gold enhanced ultimate methylene blue by the brand Earth Harmony. Earth Harmony, check it out.
All right, Computer Organization, thank you for your super chat. Well, first of all, I don't think that your light could be misplaced, okay? Second of all, you say, how can one escape the plots of the negligent evil draconians with traditional layman's terms? That is a very good question. The way to escape or to be protected from all dark evil entities is by what? It's very simple, guys. By keeping your frequency high. Praying, connecting with God on a daily basis, staying grounded. All right. You keep your frequency high, you bring your vibration. It is going to be impossible for the draconians or archons or any evil entity of that matter to affect you. And then how can one contribute to stop what they do to even the little ones? Well, that's already happening right now. Okay, we're putting an end to this what I call today 1,000-year ring of the cabal, hurting the little ones. It's all coming to an end now because now we are going to be entering the golden age. Okay, so that's automatically going to stop. Without using any sentient AI, how could we know how many DNA strands are active in the body? This is a question from SC, abbreviation SC.
I think you'd want to dose it.
Well, the more you go inward and connect with your higher self, which is what I teach my students in my Ascension courses, the easier it will be for you to download this information. Okay. One of the things that makes us unique here in this body is the fact that we're going to go beyond 48 strands of DNA. 12 is just the beginning. Okay. It turns out that each strand, right, all 12 have substrands. So most of the ETs were designed to only go up to 48 strands of DNA activation, whereas we are designed to go up to 144. Okay, so there is a difference. 48 strands is what's been existing at the, they call it at the highest, not the highest, but the level of reality of the 10, 11, and 12 dimension, right? The creator gods and goddesses have been using 48 strands of DNA, which makes them 200 to 300 feet tall. I actually talk about this in our Cosmic Origin course when I break down the different types and levels of reality and the different intelligences that occupy those realities. So if you want to go into detail regarding, the you could say DNA strand function from the 12 to the 48, and then beyond the 48, take my course, Our Cosmic Origin. I break that down really, really good. So yeah, we have the potential of assembling 144,000 DNA strands. That is something that has never existed before in the history of our cosmos, guys. So there you guys go, right? 144 strands is your ticket into the realms of eternity, 13th dimension and up. Yeah, in order to have that, in order to have access to eternity, you have to go beyond 48 strands. That's for sure. Because 48 strands will only give you access to the dimension 10, 11, and 12. Let's see. Well, okay, this is a good question. Ishmael, will there be an end to the bad people taking the little ones off world? That already stopped. That already stopped. And it was Commander Athena, who works with the Space Brotherhood, works with Ashtar, who was actually in charge of recuperating and rehabilitating a lot of the little ones that were taken off world. So that already stopped, my friend. Good, good question. Good question. Like I said, you guys have amazing questions tonight. I love it. Ishmael, how do surgical metal implants turn into real bone after ascending to the sixth dimension? If not, oh, this is another good question. I know I do get the messages. People always ask me very similar questions. So the best way to answer that question is if you guys have metals in your teeth or in your body part that was put there through surgery, um, it has come to my understanding that those metals are going to be, because your body's going to be regenerated, those metals are going to be removed automatically. Okay, so you don't have to worry about having those metals in your body anymore. That's a very good question, because your body's going to spontaneous regenerate itself when the activation of the dormant DNA happens like that. As we ascend, does our gender stay the same? Wow, that's another good question. I believe that there is males and females all the way to the sixth dimension. So yes, you do stay as your gender. Beyond that, we become um, what's the best word? As you reunite, right? As there is a continuous reintegration of polarity, we become one being with your, you could say, your counter opposite. You guys become one as well. Does that make sense? You guys become one oversoul. Eventually it's all leading to the oversoul, where you become neither male or female. All right, so I have another super chat from Free Spirit 808. Hello, Ishmael. Can you confirm that the reincarnation soul trap has been dismantled? It has. It happened in 2022, I believe. And what is happening currently when our bodies die? Well, currently, people that are transitioning are actually already moving into the new Earth. So when we all go into the new Earth, they're already going to be there in their galactic avatar bodies, healthy. And do we hang around in a higher dimension or start again in a new body, a new baby body? No, this time we're not tasting death. We're literally going to be transfigured, just like Enoch was in the Old Testament when he walked with God. We're going to go from mortals to immortals, right? When we activate our crystalline genetics, we're going to go from mortals to immortal. So we're not going to taste death, guys. Ascension does not mean death, by the way. It means transformation. It means reintegration. That's what it means. So no, you don't have to be reborn as a new baby. Good question, though. If the negative AI is still here, how can we ascend? This is a question from Jack Paleski. That's a very good question, Jack. Well, there's this thing called the bifurcation of timelines where the Earth, vibrationally speaking, is going to split, right? One is going into an ascending timeline, organic ascending timeline, as explained earlier. and the other one isn't. So if you go into the ascending Earth timeline, dimensions 4, 5, and 6, or beyond, then there will be no AI, right? The solar flash is believed to dismantle the entire AI signal and infrastructure in the new Earth. Okay, so there will be no AI. Ishmael, isn't the Galactic Federation preventing major planetary disasters from happening? You mean the Galactic Alliance? Because remember, the Galactic Federation was compromised by the Mitra Anonymous AI Collective when Enki came back in 2022. So to answer your question is yes, the Positive Galactic Alliance, which is working with the Earth Alliance, is preventing a lot of major catastrophes that could have happened, a lot in the last few months, especially now that things are ramping up, record-breaking earthquakes, the ring of fire being activated like there's no tomorrow, underwater volcanoes erupting. I mean, guys, this is it. These are the signs of the times, right? The new Earth is here, right? So let's continue here. Did I answer the super chat? Yes, I did. So yeah, we do have multiple avatars in other dimensions, and only if you come from dimensions 10, 11, 12, or beyond, then you are embodied in multiple bodies here in the 3D. Okay? Oh, you are, bless you, I mean. You're welcome. Bless you, bless you.
You need my help in anything?
No, I'm just going to answer maybe about 2 more questions. We're almost at the hour and 30 minutes mark. What will happen to the 3D Earth at the end of the millennium? Oh, wow, that's another good question. My God, you guys are really making me think tonight.
Okay, I know an answer to this one.
You want to answer that? Okay, go ahead. My lovey's going to answer that.
Okay,
and then I'll give my answer.
I'm going to kind of give a background story. I was alone in Poland for a long time, and I had a long amount of time to meditate. So I one day did this incredible meditation practice where my higher self kind of floated around the cosmos, and I saw the Earth. And then I knew I was in the new Earth, and I was a light body on the new Earth, and the whole entire waters were clear and light blue, and the sky was clean and clear, and it was like the trees were just super fresh and green, and it was like you could tell that the oxygen was different. But the thing is, when I asked what happened to the 3D Earth, it was like the answer I got was that it just had fallen away. Like, don't worry about it. Like, it's none of your concern what happened to it. But my memories that I got in this lifetime stayed with me, and I was conscious of who I was. It was just that they didn't see us to be even concerned with what happened, as if it was just like kind of fallen away, the old 3D. So once you ascend, it's like it's not going to matter.
Okay, so according to the archives, the 3D has to exist in order to connect God source all the way to the first dimension, which is the core of planets. So the problem with our 3D is that it was corrupted, right? It was intercepted by reversal time grids, locking us into a system of control, right, by the Anunnaki, those that followed Enki. But at the end of the millennium, from what I've heard and from what I've studied at the same time, confirming what I've heard, is that there will be a new 3-dimensional Earth. So there will be a physical paradise. All right. But again, we're going to be operating on different levels of reality all simultaneously. So our consciousness through our light body is going to be able to jump up and down from the 5D to the 4D to the 3D. Because see, you have to understand, the animals, right, the plant kingdom exists within the 2nd D and the 3rd D Earth, but only if it's a type of 3D Earth that is not corrupted, that is not inverted, right? So the old 3D, which is what we call the matrix, is going to be collapsing. And as a result of that, at the end of the millennium, there will be a new 3D Earth that is going to be in alignment with the higher frequencies. In other words, it's going to be connected to the cosmic current, okay, the eternal life systems. All right, guys. Oh no, one more question. I'll do one more question. I guess I'll take this final super chat from Nathan. Nathan Taylor. Thanks so much, brother. Say we go to the 50. Will Valiant Thor and others help us ascend past the 50 to the 60? Well, they're helping us now because they come from the. What?
Ask Jesus and Mary Magdalene to be a part of your ascension team more than Valiant Thor. They've done the ascension, they know it. Ask Jesus and Mary Magdalene to be ascension team for you, not Valiant Thor.
All right, so there you guys go. Ask Jesus and Mary Magdalene, who is part of your ascension team. However, Valiant Thor is helping us because we're fallen in the 3D, so he's helping us from the 5D and 60. So when we move up to the 5D and 60, we're going to be able to pretty much do it on our own, right? They're only assisting us right now because we are in a fallen state. Once we ascend, you have to remember they're going to be our equal, right? So, and then we're going to go beyond them, okay? All right, anything else? Let's see. Oh, yeah, one last thing, guys. For those that are interested in mailing me anything, my mailing address is 1771 West State Route 89A, Suite B, Box 3015, Sedona, Arizona 86336. And then don't forget that the link for the Folium product is always in the description. May you guys be happy, healthy, and at peace. And may the God force be with you all. I'll see you guys in 2 nights for another update. Bye, guys.